Greetings and welcome everyone to another episode of The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzorl, and with us as always is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. How you guys doing today?
Fantastical.
You doing all right?
Pretty great.
Doing good?
I'm officially the fifth exploler, as you can see behind me. For the
yes,
viewing
you are.
audience. Yep.
Yeah, I guess which would
Kicked
make
Harrison Jones to the curb. I was like, nope. You belong in a museum.
I was about to say, Harrison Jones became a real hipster all of a sudden. He's got his beanie and his emo glasses.
It's just freezing in this room is the problem.
Yeah.
It's so cold right now.
Yeah, wait. There's someone else here. We have a special guest.
Hello. Who could it be?
Oh my! It's the producer of Hearthstone. It's Young Woo.
How's it going, guys?
Santa Woo is here.
Where did you come from?
It actually turned out that I'm visiting, Florida right now.
The great state of Florida. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure like how specific I was allowed to be with your home address. I was like, wait.
Yeah, it's a
right?
What's the exact?
Well, this is the internet, so preferably not very.
Exactly. So somewhere in the state of Florida.
Yeah, we'll just say he's in Sarasota. We can say Sarasota.
Sarasota, okay.
I don't think
Yeah,
someone
you've said
can.
that many times.
I don't think somebody can swat me just by knowing what city I live in.
Yeah, I was talking about the place I moved.
That's not a
into
challenge,
in Austin.
guys. By the way,
I said in a tweet that there's a pool hall near it, and then someone was like, "Well, now someone's just going to go door to door in that neighborhood and try to find you." And I was like, "I don't think it's that
anyone's going to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Maybe they'll come to that pool hall and find me, but that's it. That's fine."
Yeah. Yeah, so Young, you're sitting dangerously close to me because my room is not set up to record two people. Which, by the way, everyone, if you're listening via the audio-only podcast, you really should go check out the video version so you can see Young Woo and I tried desperately not to touch elbows.
oh, I'm actually sitting on Garrett's lap right now.
Oh, yes. Oh, my.
But the elbows are off limits. Laps are fine, but elbows.
Legs
Look
can
at
touch, just not above the belt. Below the belt is fine.
Oh, this got fantastic.
I think it might be the other way around. I'm not sure.
You apparently had very forward-thinking parents. I'm not sure that's even forward-thinking.
Thankfully, I don't listen to this podcast. So
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're visiting Sarasota and hanging out, and we decided to, I don't know, have you come hang out on the show.
yeah, I mean, I don't, it's usually when one of us gets to hang out with you guys, it's like we're another separate box.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Here, we get to be like, whoa, interactive.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I have to keep catching myself to not like turn from my microphone to actually look at you. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, subtlety. That's the reason. That's the reason I'm not looking at you in the eyes.
It'd also be awkward. Right?
So you'll just
I was going to say, like, there's so much, like, bro love going on over here right now. Like, I don't even know what to jump in and say here.
Brode's
Yeah.
gonna be jealous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're gonna get Ren Brode will just barge into the Skype call because he'll be so
Just at
angry he
some
wasn't
point,
invited
with the
to this
Explorer's
party.
hat on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him.
No, he'll have the grim patron beard and yell, "Everyone, I'm in here." That's what he's gonna do. So, but yeah, so you're just gonna be the guest host today. We're not gonna. If anyone out there is like, God, why aren't they asking about like the next expansion or extra deck slots or anything like that? It's because we're not gonna get answers about those things, guys. So I'm just getting that out of the way right now. Don't expect those kind of questions to be asked because Young, you're not allowed to answer those questions.
Yeah, we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. And
If
thanks for,
Lindsay's not in the room, then things get a little.
Well, it's funny, but it's also true. I mean, unfortunately, I don't believe, or probably fortunately, I don't think the community managers have to follow you guys around everywhere you go.
Like the Secret Service.
I had a quick chat with Lindsay, and she said as long as I behave, I get to hang out with you guys. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
As
We
opposed
would
to
never
last
try to
time,
force
where we
anything out of
almost
you.
heard about Huge Toad,
Oh, there you go. Yes, huge dude. It's been terrible.
which I believe was asked at the Q&A the next day, and there was a Hugh Todd. I
Hugh
think
Todd,
somebody
yes.
was named
Yeah.
Hugh Todd, and that was the joke. I'm like, really? That's what we weren't allowed to get the answer on?
Well, you're gonna ruin it for everybody else the next day, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Because they knew
Keep
that
things under the lid.
they knew that question would be asked. They knew it. So how's Hearthstone going for everyone? It's another really late news week, so we're just gonna kind of hang out.
Come
and have a
on,
good
Garrett.
time.
No one cares how it's going for everyone. We all just want to know: is Joss legend?
Okay, all right, fine. That is the
Let's
question.
cut to the
Jocelyn, I mean, this is a baiting question because I totally watched Jory to Legend before this. How's Legend going for you?
I'm right exactly where I left off on Christmas Eve. I played a crap ton over the weekend, and I was as high as 1 and as low as 3, and I'm right back in the middle of 2. So it's a grind and a half.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Joss. We've all been there.
I think I can do it. I think my problem over the weekend, we were doing a lot of traveling to see family, and so I was playing in the car on mobile a lot, and I feel like I just don't take it as seriously when I'm playing on my phone. So I made a lot of stupid little mistakes and stuff, and as soon as I did it, I was like, shouldn't have done that. And I feel like I don't make stupid mistakes sitting in front of my computer. I went like 5-1 sitting in front of my computer today, so I think I just need to get in the zone and like wake up tomorrow morning and just play all day, and by the end of tomorrow I'll be there. I can do it. I know I can do it.
Also stick with the secret paladin deck you've been playing. I heard you talking about switching to aggro shaman, but
yeah,
I
did that for a few. I did that for a few games on Christmas Eve, and then I think I went like 1-4 or something, and I was like, okay, this is dumb. I need to go with what I know, and I went back to Secret Paladin, and I was again just kind of winning one, losing one, and then so today I went back to the aggro shaman again, and I think I went 5-2. So because basically the thing is, it's pretty much crap against everything except Paladin, and all I'm queuing into is other paladins. So I was just like, you know what? I think I just need to just try this. And sure enough, I've queued into, I think, 4 paladins and 2 warlocks. And yeah, I think I lost to the warlocks and won against the paladins. So I'm like, that keeps me in a positive win rate. So we'll see. If I start getting down near 50% again, I'll go back to paladin. But
I think the Smork Shaman deck is a lot harder to play than people give it credit for too, because it's you need to get mulligan for early creatures and then trade properly with those creatures and then draw the burn, right? And a lot of people I think just think, oh, I should keep this crackle because I crackle face, and then they just like go face like all the time, then their board's gone, they have no way to do any more damage. So it's like one of those decks that has like a finishing burst, but it needs to build to it, you know?
Yeah, you want to draw into your
damage. Yeah. And that was what I found too, is I had a lot of like either I got the draw or I didn't get the draw. And that's kind of the one thing about playing like an aggro deck like that, is that at least the game is over by turn like 7. Like I've either kind of won or lost, and then I can just be like, either I've won or I can just go concede and go to the next one, whereas a lot of my paladin games just go on and on and on. So
well, that paladin deck that you were running doesn't really even have card draw in it. So you're basically like you're kind of hoping to just draw on curve the whole time and always be playing something that costs the exact amount of mana you have that turn, and then like making the right trades, right? So sometimes that just doesn't work, and you just draw like all your secrets, no secret keeper, no mysterious challenger, and you're like, cool, okay. So I guess I just hope that avenge carries me, and it doesn't ever. So, but
then
so it's like 2 totally different play styles.
Oh, completely. And I find like that secret deck, there's been games where I'm just like, well, I'm a secret paladin who is on turn 10 and has played no secrets and no mysterious challengers. So I don't even really know what I'm supposed to do right now. So, but no, I think they're both, they're both viable decks. I think the secret paladin is more consistent, but I think for what I'm facing right now, the shaman is a viable option. I think if I stopped facing a lot of paladins, then I would probably switch it up, but we'll see.
The paladin mirror match is literally just who draws better, which is kind of a problem there, because you want, I mean, I guess you can outskill them with certain trades, but most of the time it's like, oh, he drew mysterious challenger and I didn't, and that sucks. So
mysterious paladin.
Mysterious paladin. Yeah.
That's what the deck should be called. That's a lot more.
Yeah.
That's just so much
I did
more.
play a lot of it on Christmas Day because it's the Christmas tree paladin, right? So
right, obviously.
And I think I went 7-3 or 8-3 or something like that. I had, and then I was tired of playing it.
Yeah, my record with Secret Paladin is pretty good. I think I'm like 70 something and probably like 20 something.
Damn.
Yeah.
No joke.
It's a good deck. I've been playing it a lot lately too, and I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden I started seeing nothing but control warriors.
Well, Yang Wu's reached legend before, so give Jocelyn some. How's she push through this last little bit here?
So I made it twice, and I mean, for me, the biggest thing was just staying consistent. I think it's easy to, lose a few games in a row maybe and feel like, okay, like this deck's not working. Obviously, if it's really not working, then you should switch gears. But I think it's surprising, if you've been playing like a certain deck your whole month or whatever, you'll be surprised just how much better you've gotten at playing that deck and like understanding the matchups and things like that. So if you then suddenly switch to another deck, it's another learning curve. So especially like on your final approach, right? I think you can kind of like you can play on your phone and like take it easy or whatever as you approach rank 5, or maybe as you even like dip into like 3s or whatever. But I think like the final 10 stars or whatever, or 20 stars, you really gotta
you want to be
get
focused
in there.
Yeah, and I think playing on mobile was a mistake because I got really burnt out on my deck by playing and not taking it as seriously. Just like while I was in the car, I was like, well, everyone tells me it's just a huge grind and I just have to push and I just have to get this certain X number of games in.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, I should be playing right now because I'm not doing anything else. So then I feel like I actually hurt myself by doing that because I'm literally no further in the ladder. I've got 2 or 3 stars at rank 2, which is where I left off on Thursday. If I just hadn't touched anything over the weekend, I wouldn't be burnt out on Secret Paladin and I'd be in the exact same place rank wise. So I think I made a mistake by playing on mobile, and I probably should have just been like, nope, I'm traveling, so I just don't get to play these days. Like,
or you can even play on mobile on something else, like maybe even on casual or whatever. But
but then see, that feels like a waste of Hearthstone time. I feel like if I'm doing anything in Hearthstone, I should be laddering and I should be taking it seriously.
But it's because there's no bonus star after rank 5. It's really about positive win ratio. I think before rank 5. Yes, if you just played, then you would move, forward eventually through statistically. But I think you're at that point where you just got to get like razor focus and.
I think I just need to take like all day tomorrow and just be like, nobody talk to me until I'm legend. Like just no. Like I need to like close my door, like put headphones on, and I don't know, listen to white noise because I can't even listen to music.
Don't
no
just sit there. No, just like make sure you're focused. If you're losing focus, you don't want to keep playing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you whenever people give you like advice for taking an exam or whatever or a job interview, right? Like get good night's rest.
Cheat. Oh, sorry. Get good night's rest.
Cheat. And, I feel like Face Shaman is cheating in Hearthstone, so I feel like I've already tried.
No, taunt is cheat. We all know this. Going face is never cheat. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I got really, really ragey last week too. I got to the point, I think I was rank 1 with like one or 2 stars. And so I started streaming and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stream and I'm gonna be awesome and I'm gonna hit legend on stream and everyone's gonna be so happy. I'm so close. I just have to win like 3 more games. I got this. And I lost like 5 in a row and I just like hit the stream. I was just like, if I could actually physically flip my desk, I would have. I was so mad. I was literally just like, guys, I'm 1 game away from just killing the stream. I'm 1 game away. If I lose this, I'm killing the stream. And I lost the game, and I was like, F this, killed the stream. And everyone was like, what happened to the stream? I'm like, I told you. like everyone gives Garrett so much crap for like Garrett rage. The boss rage is so much worse.
Hey man, I queued into 3 control warriors in a row today and ranked as a secret paladin, so it's okay. I'm still raging. Don't worry, Jocelyn.
Okay.
Don't worry. It's okay to rage.
Garrett won't lose the rage. Well, you guys are over there doing that. I'm playing my full explorer deck and having a blast in Hearthstone.
Dude, we had so much fun playing that last Monday after the show, although I will say I'm pretty sure it takes 2 brains to pilot that deck correctly. Well, because the second you were gone, I was just like, this isn't working out as well as it used to.
Yeah, there's very complicated turns because Bran makes things weird, and then understanding when to Sir Finley Murgleton as a warlock is also super weird because you like, why do I want to get rid of life tap? But then at a certain point you do. So I don't know. It's a funky deck, but it's the fun. That's the funnest deck I've ever played in Hearthstone.
I feel like Sir Finley is one of the biggest traps in that deck. Because the obvious answer is, well, when I don't want to draw anymore. So it's either when you're just so low on health and you don't have a heal in hand that
when the games are going to fatigue, you don't want life tap anymore. Right?
Or just you've got 5 cards left in your deck and you're like, I should probably never tap again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm playing against the priest and this is going to go to fatigue. But a lot of other times I feel like you want to play him because you're like, oh man, if I found Fire Blast right now, it'd be amazing. but then you don't get it.
Let me ask you this: did you put in the owl, by the way?
I did put in that damn owl.
And did it work out for you?
Yes, but again, just overall, the deck isn't really working out as well.
All right.
So, yeah.
We'll just save it, and we'll only ever play it together.
Yeah, that'll be our. It is our. We came up with a Hearthstone version of Cho'Gall from Heroes of the Storm.
There you go.
It's a deck that can only ever be played by 2 people.
I was going to say it's the co-op mode that we all wanted.
That's it right there.
Yes, there's already a co-op mode. It's called Skype.
Well, even playing like that deck, I am rank 5. Like it just kind of happened. Like that deck has a positive win rate for me. I think because I just play it a lot. But I mean, I've also peppered in, like for Christmas, I peppered in the Secret Paladin and stuff like that. But now that I'm like rank 5. This is what happens every single season now for me. I get to rank 5, and then I go, all right, I'm good. Like I'm done now. And then I just immediately start playing like Watcher silence decks with and like weird. I'm like, oh, let's try Beast Druid, and then I'm just like, lose. Like I can kind of hover at 5, but I can't make any more progress at that point. So that's my life these days in Hearthstone. I said I was going to try hard this month, but as soon as I got there, the same thing kicked in that I just was like, no, I want to play decks with Deathwing in them. And
it's really, really hard. I feel like up until about last week, I was still having fun. Like I was having fun playing hard. I got to rank 1. I was like, yeah, this is working. This is awesome. It's a lot of fun. And then I just had the weekend and I didn't make any progress. I fell down on stream and I was like, oh man, I'm not having fun anymore. But I feel like I can't switch to any like crazy stupid decks because then I'll just end up at rank 5 and have really no chance. Although maybe the element of surprise is what I really need.
There you go.
Yeah,
you gotta surprise them.
So young,
because there have been a couple of decks and I've ended up beating them, but there were a couple of Paladin decks and I'm just like, what are you even doing right now?
Saw a couple of those as well.
Yeah,
Young, what have you been playing on ladder? I mean, I guess you've been traveling a lot. Do you have like a relaxed traveling deck?
Yeah. I mean, I've been fooling around with a couple decks. One of it is, I guess it used to be called like the Chinese Mage. Like Ghost of Gamer had this thing where they were showcasing some decks from the Chinese meta, and it's basically a hybrid of like lots of small creatures with mage, but then it like turns into a freeze mage. Like once you're
is this the Tiddler deck that has?
Yeah, it's the Tiddler deck.
Yeah, it's like an aggro deck, but stalls a lot and then draws burn.
It's actually it's kind of the aggro deck that kills other aggro decks. So it's very fun to play in the ladder. And it's not like super complicated to play. I mean, it's definitely you need to kind of figure out when to shift the gear from like going kind of creature attack to kind of stall. But the torch makes a big difference with that deck.
Oh yeah,
so it's been it kind of gives you two
that deck
extra
runs
cards.
Ice blocks too, right? Doesn't it? It runs
Frost 2 Ice
Novas, Ice blocks, and some weird stuff. Weird stuff.
Yeah, like if you were always like intrigued by playing Freeze Mage, but you just couldn't get yourself to like be the guy who just starts freezing everything from like right off the bat, like this is a really great deck because you're coming out early with a lot of small creatures, and it confuses your opponent because a lot of people don't play this deck, so they think you're some kind of a rush deck. So then they kind of overcommit to just kind of controlling the board, and then they realize, oh wait, now that he got me down to like 15, it doesn't matter if I have the board because Frost Nova, Blizzard, and then combo. So that's cool.
I like decks that confuse my opponent for sure. I always like that's the thing about the Explorers deck is that I know people see it and they go, oh, it's a Reno deck, but then all of a sudden it's an Elise deck, and it's like, what? Like,
then it's also a brand deck.
yeah, exactly.
Like, what is
happening? No, and then Rafam comes out and they're like, what in the world? But yeah.
And then after Rafam, your board fills with 3/3s.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I was always taking the other two. And I think fill the board with 3/3s is just way better.
Every
21-21 for 10 mana.
For 10 mana. Every game that you and I played where we picked that spell, it seemed to be the right decision because by the late game, we didn't really have a board presence.
Yeah. Well, and if you did have one, you were like overcommitting cards, right? You were always like playing like 2 or 3 cards into a board, and then a light bomb is like devastating. But if you just play one card and they light bomb, well, it's like, okay, well, I just traded my turn for your turn. That's fine, and then I still have initiative essentially. But you do have to pay 10 mana for it. But.
Right, and they can light bomb and then play something else in the late game. But
yeah,
still, it seemed to work out damn well.
Yeah.
So were you guys able
what about
to...
you, Young? Do you play any of the explorers in any of your decks?
Yeah, so one of my more favorite deck recently has been Dragon Warlock deck. So obviously getting Bran in there is super fun. Because the Warlock Dragon deck has a lot of cards that have Battle Cry. Like it runs Healbots, it runs Azure Drake, Twilight Drake, and all those guys get very interesting because you get double the benefit, right? So you get these super giant creatures.
But the Blackwing Corruptor is insane with Bran out.
Yeah, Blackwing Corruptor, you do 6 instead of 3, so it's super fun. Wait, so were you guys able to get Elise to trigger off of Bran and you end up with 2 maps?
Yep.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, absolutely.
You get 2 maps,
I've never seen
and
that.
so you double your chance for Monkey.
I think we had it happen
nice.
in 2 games. I know it happened at least once.
The Monkey Dream is really difficult, but with a deck like the one that I built, which just has like all this removal. I mean, my deck is running like Kodos and Bomb Lobbers and stuff like that. Like but the thing is with Bran, like Bomb Lobber kills 2 things and Kodo kills 2. You know what I mean? There's so many situations you actually get a ton of value with Bran. And it just gets you to that late game so often.
Double Bomber is awesome.
Yeah, the double Bomb Lobber was insane. We had. You saw it like in the games we had so many turns where it was like, okay, I know there's a way to do this. We're going to clear this board, and if you could figure the puzzle out, you could do it. I know. Yeah, we roped like every single turn.
There's nothing wrong with the rope.
No. That means you're playing good when you're actually thinking about all your turns.
I have a new appreciation for Life Coach.
Really, inside of Life Coach's head, there are 2 people in there.
It's the movie. It's the movie Inside Out. There's like 5 people in there, and they all disagree.
All, like, pushing buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like, people make fun of it when he's like in his like hands on head, just so deep in thought on turn 1. But what he's doing is he's thinking about like all the possible like card combinations his opponent could have that he could have, and he's like mapping out the next 3 or 4 turns. And if you notice later, he makes the turn real quick when he like knows where he's at in the game.
Yeah.
So it's something that people should take advantage of. Like, you have a minute and a half. You should use it up, right? And think about things. So.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you get into poker, maybe don't put your hands on your head and look like you're terrified when you look at your hand. That maybe not be the best thing to start taking up as a habit. But
him and Stan Sifka, by the way, they're now the rope, and they actually had a match against each other the other day on that Star Ladder, and it was epic. Just watching them both rope on turn 1 while they tried to figure out the rest of the game. It was amazing. Theoretical Hearthstone. That's what they're playing in their heads.
Theoretical. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be the next expansion. Hearthstone.
Yeah, there you go. Hearthstone. Theoretical Hearthstone.
Awesome. Well, there's not too much, but let's go ahead and dive into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
So Ben Brode recently put up a new designer insights talking all about consistency, which I feel like has come up a lot on the show in the last month or so.
I can't tell if Yang is terrified by the fact we're about to talk about this or super excited.
Yeah.
I think Bro said pretty much everything we want to say about that. So I'll just let you guys talk about what he said.
Yeah. All right. We'll be nice. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I highly recommend everyone, if you haven't watched it already, go and watch it. But he made some really good points. The point that he brought up that I guess I had never really considered for myself was, he said, yes, it is kind of strange that 2 cards are worded the same way but act differently. Some citing multiple Druid cards as a result of this, that some of them transform and cannot be silenced, and some of them just get a buff and then can be silenced, even though the choose one is written the same way. And he said, yes, that's inconsistent, but he would argue that since the game essentially has a judge following you around, that it may not be the most important thing in the world, that maybe, and this is the thing I never really considered, maybe having a card that is just easier to read or easier to parse is more new player friendly. And I never really thought of the new player aspect when it came to reading a card. Because I guess it does. I guess there is an argument there. I'm not saying I completely agree with it. I don't. I'm really obsessive compulsive
I
about
actually
card
completely
consistency.
agree with that statement that it's not necessary because of the fact that it's a digital game and you do like I totally agree that it becomes less important. But I think that's different than us saying we don't think it's important at all, right? So
Yes.
But like his point, I totally agree with. Like, yes, that makes a lot of sense. You don't have to make the card say a whole paragraph so that as we play it, we can like objectively know what this card does, and there's no like argument against what it does, right? Like with Magic, if you write the card in a weird way, one guy's gonna say like, no, that's not how it works, and this happens anyway in Magic.
Yeah,
where it's like there's so many words on the damn card, but it also makes Magic true, like you said, like it's not easy for a new player. You start playing, you're like, oh my god, like okay, it's a 1/1 and it does 7 other things. What is this?
It's like reading a legal document, right?
Yeah.
It's like from here and after.
Yeah.
And
also
will
you
refer to as the individual that may or may not be human that is currently holding the card. It's like
There's the weird stuff in Magic though too, where sometimes it'll tell you like, okay, it has this, like Renown 1 or something like that, right? And then sometimes it'll explain what that is, but sometimes there's no room because it does like a bunch of other stuff. So it's like, well, hopefully you've read some other Renown cards, and so now you know what that is.
Well, and Hearthstone does the same thing. We have keywords.
Yes.
You're just expected to know what a keyword does.
Or figure them out through play.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
digitally, I think we have the advantage of being able to have things like tooltips. I think that lets you put more words on it that you don't have to see.
Yeah, hovering over a card is a thing that you can do in Hearthstone.
Try with like a physical card game. You're like,
Yeah. Like, I just put my hand over it. Why is it not telling me
I'm not imparted magically with more information.
Yeah.
Or do you mind if I pick this up and read it? Excuse me. I know this isn't my card, and you've taken the time to put them in this hot anime girl sleeve. But could I pick this up and read the? Thank you. I promise I won't bend it or eat it. Thanks.
It gets really ridiculous because I showed up for a few like casual Magic nights, and it's basically like everyone's all playing multiplayer games. Everyone's like one guy's using a commander deck and one guy's using like a standard deck, and then one card will have like 5 enchantments like underneath it, and you're just like, okay, dude, like what is that card actually doing at this point? He's like, well, it's indestructible. You can't do anything about it. It's gonna kill you. It's a 20/20, and you're just like, oh my god!
It has flying, death touch, and trample.
Yeah, flying, death touch. Yeah, like, that's not fair. That shouldn't exist.
Yeah. So I get it, and that was really I in a nutshell. His video was that they're open to being more consistent in the future. That they're not necessarily going to keep the card formatting the same as it is, but that it's not necessarily the highest priority in the world to go change it right now.
Yeah.
Well, because I do kind of see his point where he's saying, like, you play the card and then you know what it does. Because, to be honest, I didn't even really notice the inconsistency between Druid of the Claw and, I guess, Ancient of War, because I come from Warcraft. So, to me, something's a Druid, it changes, it transforms. Like, that was just really obvious to me. And playing the cards, I knew what they did. So, I didn't even kind of realize that there was a consistency issue there because I just knew what the cards did. So it didn't kind of flag me as a player until literally like a month ago when someone was like, oh, they're so inconsistent. This is terrible. I'm like, what? And even then I looked at the cards and I was like, no, the writing's the same. Like, what's the problem? And then I was like, oh, they do different things.
The writing's the same. Yeah.
So I was just... Yeah, it just kind of, it was kind of weird to me as someone who's been playing Hearthstone for a while. It's like, yeah, the first game or two, I didn't really know what was going to happen, but then I knew that, green means it's a buff, and this one actually changed, and I understand now what he's saying about you just play the card and then you know what it does, and we don't have to know going in. So I can see what he was saying in that way, where because it's a computer game, and like a digital card game, there's a little bit more room to have that kind of flexibility, and inconsistencies aren't necessarily as big a problem as the internet Hearthstone community has kind of made it out to be, I guess.
Well, I think
I feel like I'm about to get jumped on.
I don't think this one's no. This one in particular isn't a problem because you play it once and you see what it does, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that were a problem were ones that said like whenever and after and things like that, which actually didn't act the way they were supposed to, based on what the text was. But those have actually been fixed since then. So like that's fine now. Like they changed some of the text to say whenever and after on the proper. Like for what it actually does in the game, right?
I kind of do wish that he'd given a little bit like more examples of some of those, because he's like, yeah, most of these inconsistencies you guys are talking about are actually bugs, and like we're fixing them all. And I'm like, which ones? Like, you know, like what's being all weird? Like
Disguised Toast will tell you all those.
Yeah. That's true.
He's highlighted them all for us. But when I was watching it, though, I think I understood his point there, but I also disagreed that the way that Druid of the Claw is worded is actually the easiest way to parse it, because I actually think Druid of the Flame is the easiest parsing for a new player of any of these types of things, because it literally says transform to a 5/2 or a 2/5. I only have to read that to understand what the card does, whereas Druid of the Claw, I have to go, okay, give it charge or +2 and taunt, and then I have to look at the 4/4 that's already there, and then I have to add like those two pieces of information together, right? So for me, like if I'm a new player, having to look in multiple places on the card to figure out what it does is actually slightly harder than just reading the card and it says 5/2 or 2/5. Like if I read that and I just go, oh, okay, that's what it does.
Yeah, I think my only I like cards that have less text for me to read, so I'm more in the camp of I wish the druids had just a keyword on them that said transform, because that's what they do, they change. So I kind of wish it just said transform, charge, or +2 health and taunt.
Well,
like
that's what
too.
The druid of the what's the other one? The 1/2 or the 2/1 that transforms into either having stealth or having charge. That literally says transform to have charge or transform to have +1/+1 in stealth, right?
Yeah, and
So
I prefer that.
Yeah.
I prefer that to having like that whole big, okay, if you choose this one, then it's going to do that. Like to me, I look at that one druid, the 2/5/5/2, and I go, oh my god, there's like 4 lines of text here. Like that's too much. It's too busy, it's too crowded. I prefer just the transform.
But it's not though. It's 3 lines barely. It's really not much more text. If you look at that and then you look at the other one, it's actually not more words. It's like it's just literally saying the actual full options. Like so, it's giving you the end result of each option, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that if it said, so this would say like transform to have charge or be a 4/6 with taunt. Like I think that would then, as a new player, I would go, oh, it becomes a 4/6 with taunt. Rather than like, then I got to go look and see, oh, it's a 4/4, so it gets +2, so it's a 4/6 with taunt. Like that's what I'm saying. Like having to look in 2 places is maybe possibly, and like I'm not saying like it's hard for most people, but if we're like trying to make it as easy as possible, that's probably the best way to do it, I think. But that's debatable, obviously. Everybody like learns in their own way. Everybody figures it out in their own way. But to make it the easiest for the most people, it's like you just read it and then you're like, oh, okay, got it.
I think that's the most important thing about these videos that Broad is doing is it's less about, hey, like here are the reasons why we're right, like these are the reasons why like what we're doing is awesome, and it's less about that and it's more about here are all the different things that we are, because everything's a trade-off, right? So here are all the things we're considering. This is why we're currently here. It's not out of lack of thinking about it. Maybe it's a product of thinking about too much. I don't know. It's definitely not from just sitting on our laurels, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and especially I found in this video, he made it a point multiple times to say, this is the way we did it in the past. I'm not saying that was a good idea, but this was the thinking at the time, and now we're here, and we might do X, Y, and Z in the future. Like we're not committed to sticking to this way of thinking the whole entire length of the lifespan of this game, which I think just in general you guys have been really great at doing, is being flexible and taking, constructive criticism and incorporating fan ideas into the game. Like you guys are amazing at that. So I think the videos really just highlight the fact that you guys are being open and honest with the way that you've developed the game and saying, we're here, but we might not stay here. We could go many different ways, and that's based on all of these things we're considering and all of the things you're bringing to our attention.
Well said.
I mean, that's I think the coolest thing that I got from the video was like that we recognize that these are inconsistent. Here's why we did it, but we're not stuck in anything, right? And I think that was the coolest thing, what you just highlighted. I just like me personally, I do want it to be consistent for the new player. You know what I mean? Because a new yes, you don't have to be, but I actually think that it can be a little bit confusing to a new player when they read Druid of the Flame, then Druid of the Saber, then Druid of the Claw, and they all say a different way to kind of convey the same idea. And that might be a little bit confusing when they read one. They go, well, why is this one different? And then that might kind of like just cause a little hesitation. Or should I play this card? I don't really know if I understand what this card does. And I think that's the only reason why some people have an issue. I don't think anybody's like not playing Hearthstone because the Druid of the Claw exists and isn't totally consistent. You know, it's just like as people who care about the game a lot, I want to be able to show my buddy who's never played a card game and not have him come to me and go like, well, how does this work? You know, like I would like it if it's like really easy for him to grasp all the concepts, you know, and having cards worded this in a similar fashion, I think is better for achieving that goal for sure.
Yeah, I fall into the camp of I would prefer consistency, and it drives my lizard brain slightly crazy that it's not consistent when two things behave exactly the same way and it's not. But I also realize it's not the most important thing in the world. You know, we'll learn how these cards work overall. Like things like understanding that battle cry, like damaging battle cries, will happen on like to get the secret off of Mad Scientist, and then it will actually copy that creature that made the battle cry. Like the first time you do it, you're like, whoa, it works like that, and like that's kind of like a wow moment a lot of times, and then you just know that that's how it works, right? So even though you might say like, that shouldn't work that way, once you know it does, you just play the game as if it does, and that's fine, you know. Like all of this stuff ultimately doesn't make the game to me like any less enjoyable. It's just something we talk about because we do a podcast, so we got to talk about stuff. And people care a lot about the game, and so people get nitpicky when they care about something a lot. So, like I said, I don't think no one's like mad and not playing Hearthstone because of Druid of the Claw. Some people on Reddit would lead you to believe that.
Yeah, no, but then they play all day. They play all day and they rage all night.
Which is clearly the reason they're lurking on the Hearthstone subreddit. So. All right. Anyways, again, listeners, if you haven't checked out the video, it's on the official Hearthstone YouTube. I highly recommend it. I'm digging these. Keep them coming, bro. Youngwoo, when you get back to Team 5, tell him to keep making them. So before we move on to strategy, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC, as you guys are directly supporting us. We're doing so many extra episodes now because of you. So thank you. This week, we wanted to thank Anthony, Michael B, Evan O, Kevin H, and Marshall G. Thank you guys so much for supporting the Angry Chicken. Now, let's doctor some decks. We don't have a special strategy bumper for it. So here's the usual strategy bumper.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Last week we said that we wanted you guys to send in your decks and we would doctor them. So here we are, making good on our word. And we're kicking it off with Frank on the Rocks, all caps. I did not yell that loud enough, by the way. He made a deck that he is calling Heavy Shaman.
Yes. This is actually a deck that's been around for a while. So for people who are listening to the show, this might be a little tough. We'll try to like explain what the decks are and explain a little bit, and they'll all be linked in the show notes, so everyone can come and look at these exact decks. But these are decks that were submitted to us by listeners, and we're going to look at them, talk about them, and figure out maybe what changes they could make to make them better. So this is basically a Shaman deck that's built around getting some of the bigger taunts out there, and then using Kel'Thuzad or Ancestral Spirit to bring them back to life, really. Make them hard to kill, right? So when you get like an Earth Elemental out there and then you Ancestral Spirit it, that's pretty good. A 7/8 with taunt that comes back to life. When you kill it, that's tough to deal with. So that's kind of the idea behind the deck. He's running things like Injured Blade Master with Ancestral Healing, which has been like kind of a talked about combo for a while that hasn't ever really made its way into consistent play. I've never really seen it. It happens every now and then. You're like, whoa, this guy's living the dream. But then it's got it's got some other things in it that I don't think quite fit his idea, and so I think that's where we can improve the deck. So when I look at the deck, I love the concept of a deck like this, like big minions and Shaman, and these cool ways to bring them back to life. Ancestral Spirit being the one, and then of course Kel'Thuzad. But I'm also looking at it, I'm saying like you've got like a few themes going on here, and not just sticking really to the one, right? So like it might be like I feel like a lot of times when people make decks, they go, okay, well here's my thing, and then they like try to like shoehorn in some other thing to like, I don't know, shore up some problem they foresee with the deck, right? So like he's got these awesome like finishers, and then he's got like Unbound Elemental and like Fire Guard Destroyer. And it's like, hey, so are you like an overload deck or?
Which is my first thought looking at this deck is I'm just like I just look at the deck and I'm like, okay, wait, how, like, what does your early game look like? Because there's Annoyatrons in there, but there's also like Earth Shocks.
That's basically his early
like,
game.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, and then like you said, there's the Overload and there's the Unbound Elemental, and I'm just kind of like, why don't you need that card slot for something that fits what you're trying to do a little bit better? So that would definitely be my first thought too. Is just like, what is your basic strategy for this deck?
Yeah, Fire Guard Destroyers are perfectly fine minions. However, I don't feel they synergize with this deck. You don't want to throw Ancestral Spirit on it because when it comes back, it doesn't get its battle cry.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and I also I think that what you want to do is you want to have these big ending combos, which are Earth Elemental plus Ancestral Spirit, right? But what you really need to do is just get there. So the rest of the deck can just be anti-aggro tech cards, right? And then you just have these big finishers. And then so anti-aggro with some card draw, and then you kind of get here, right?
Right.
But he's got things like Annoyatron, where I think you should really just have like zombie chows and haunted creepers.
Yeah.
And just like those cards that just kind of like help you keep the board until you, and like I would love to even maybe see what's the storm whatever axe, the 2/3
Stormforged axe.
Stormforged axe. Thank you.
It's an axe and it was forged by a storm.
But just ways to deal with the early game. And I actually don't think that he even wants elemental destruction when he's also got 2 lightning storms. Like I think you're doing too many AoEs at that point. But I do like the things like I do like Manatide Totem. I like Azure Drake. But I also think you probably just want to drop Injured Blade Master, Ancestral Healing, and just kind of go for like stronger mid-range creatures. That's just kind of where I would take the deck. Dump the Unbound Elemental, dump the Fire Guard Destroyers, put in things like Piloted Shredder, and just cards that'll just kind of help you through that mid game. And then your late game is just going to win based on these massive creatures that come back to life when you kill them, right? Hiding a Kel'Thuzad behind an Earth Elemental is great, but you know what else would be great is hiding it behind a Sludge Belcher, but you got no Sludge Belchers in here, so
yeah. Would you think
there's just a few things I think that could be tweaked here?
If he does end up putting in Stormforged axes or maybe even Lightning Bolts to have some removal in the early game, do you think that's enough overload along with 2 Lightning Storms, assuming of course we're taking out Elemental Destruction, that they would be worth putting in a Tunnel Trog or 2?
That might be good, but I still feel like a Zombie Chow would just be more consistent, right?
You're right. Then you're not
you're not worried about the healing that a Zombie Chow is going to do in the early game because you're finishing people with just giant creatures that are hitting the face for a ton. So I think you can get away with that. So yeah, even like I get the faceless too because you can faceless some of these big threats, but I think you have enough of them you don't really need it. It'd be better I think to just shore up the early game and dump some of the stuff that's not really helping your cause and just put in stuff to get to the what the deck is trying to do, right?
Build a path to your Earth Elemental.
Yeah, exactly.
Build a path to it.
Try to curve out to those cards.
Yeah, because right now his curve is majorly overloaded, no pun intended, on the 3 drops. He's got 10 3 drops.
10 of them.
And no other mana slot has more than 5.
Yeah, which is common in Shaman though, to have a lot of 3s because that's where all the strongest cards go. Like the other thing too here, he doesn't have the dogs.
Those
like
wolves,
that
man,
would be great. If you're gonna have that many 3s, like why is that not one of them? So yeah, I just think like it's a cool idea that's just not quite doing what it needs to do to get there. So
one of those 3s is actually Healing Wave. What do you think about keeping that in versus taking that out?
There's no other healing in the deck, and this is a deck that wants to go a little longer, so I am perfectly fine with it. And
I'm okay with it too. A heal bot might be better.
And yeah, I mean, he's also, let's see, actually doesn't have that many big drops.
He's not that heavy on the high end of things. I mean, if the meta was still fully Face Hunter, I would think that a Joust card would be okay in this deck.
Yeah,
but I feel like maybe taking that out and putting in a heal bot would be a little bit more helpful.
It pains me as a Shaman player. I want to love Healing Wave, but yeah, so many times I just end up putting in heal bot instead.
It's consistent because it's 8 every time and it's a 3/3. You know what I mean? So it's gonna give you the ability to trade with something on the board as well as heal you up. And you know, I think you'd probably get a little bit more mileage out of that. I guess the one thing about the Healing Wave I see, similar to the Ancestral Healing, is trying to heal up some of these big creatures after killing other creatures. And I get that. I totally see like that makes sense. Like, oh, I play an Earth Elemental, then I kill something and I heal my Earth Elemental back up, you know. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, even if you heal the Earth Elemental back up, it still just dies to BGH. So it's like, you know, I don't know if that's really what you want to be spending your healing on. You probably just want to spend your healing on yourself to not die to like burst decks, combo decks, those kind of things, and just use your big creatures for what they are, which is they go face. These guys go face. You get them on the board, and then you hit face for 7. You don't trade with these guys.
I agree with the chat room too. Multiple people are saying just get Sylvanas in there. If you have KT,
Sylvanas would be amazing.
If you have Ancestral Spirit, like there's another target that you would not mind bringing back.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm even thinking maybe taking out 2 Fire Elementals and using those slots just for Sylvanas and Healbot.
Yeah. Oof. Although, I mean, there's other cards.
Taking out Fire Elementals.
Get rid of.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Get rid of Faceless Manipulator first. I would get rid of.
There's plenty of things to take out. Like Ancestral Healing, you could probably go with 1 Earth Shock. I don't mind keeping the Ancestral Spirits because I get why that's like an integral part of what you're trying to do.
Yes, yeah.
Like you don't need Lava Shock if you're going to take out things like Elemental Destruction. Healing Wave you can take out. I don't mind keeping a Manatide Totem because you do want to draw into some of this stuff that you need. But then, yeah, Unbound Elemental comes out, Fireguard Destroyer comes out. That's a lot. Injured Blade Master comes out, Noyatron comes out. That's tons of spots to fill in. Yeah. So I think you can keep the Fire Elementals.
Yeah.
But, you know. They don't actually do that good in Ladder, though, compared to Arena. Fire Elementals in Arena are insane. Fire Elementals in Ladder, not as good, just because of the 5 health. There's a lot of things that can trade up into them.
They're still pretty darn good. But,
they're still pretty.
And just to maybe not completely lose the soul of the deck, maybe keeping the Injured Blade Masters and the Ancestral Healing. That seems so fun.
That does seem really fun. This seems like he wants a big taunty deck, so I can see keeping the Blade Masters and the healings.
I think that's okay if you know we went for how long with priests where it was like run Injured Blade Masters and Circle of Healings. If that's okay, I think it's okay to run Ancestral Healing.
Circle though is going to be better with other stuff, like it draws you cards, it heals multiple minions. Like Ancestral Healing just goes on 1 creature. And it has to be Injured Blade Master or something else that's already taken damage, and like that just makes it less good.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
If he loves that part, then that's fine. I get that because I have combos I love, you know, that aren't actually that good.
Young, do you have any?
Looking at a deck list like this, like makes me want to like try Ancestor's Call again. You know, I messed around with that card a while back. It's the 4 mana, and both players basically play a card out of their hand.
Oh,
and, you know, if you look at this deck, it basically has no creatures except Noyatron up until like a certain mana curve, and it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, hey, can you actually survive with no minions and just spells up to like turn 4 or 5, and you play like Ancestor's Call and like I don't know, get a Ragnaros out or a Kel'Thuzad out, and what does that mean?
Yeah, we talked about this that. Shaman, there's a theoretical Shaman deck out there that just runs nothing but removal and then giant creatures and stuff like Ancestor's Call and Healing Wave and all that kind of stuff. So like you never lose the Joust because You just run
Everything
giant
you
stuff.
own is like, yeah, 6 and higher.
And everything under that is just removal spells.
Yeah,
right?
you get healing wave, and things like Injured Blade Master is still like a good insurance program because you can still play it on turn 3 for 4/3.
Yeah.
But if it does get pulled by Ancestor's call, it's not a total dud
4/7.
because you get a 4/7 instead of 4/3.
Yep.
So there's something there. I think I'm gonna after this, maybe. When
Nice.
maybe
right.
tonight I'll fool around with that idea a little bit.
Well, Frank on the Rocks, congratulations. If nothing else, you inspired Young Woo.
And I hope that the people who said to us is like, we're not like crapping on your decks. We're trying to just give you some new ideas, and so just bear with us on that. 'Cause
Well, Jocelyn's
sometimes
crapping on
people
your
ask
decks,
for
but
like
the
my
rest
help,
of us-
and I'm like, oh, rip out the entire thing. This all sucks, and they're like, what? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean. I'm just,
I mean, the way I think about a deck when I build a deck or when I mess around with the deck is what's the win condition, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So in the case of this heavy shaman, I think there are a lot of really cool ideas in there. I think there's a bit of a question mark about, there are a lot of these cool combos you're trying to pull off, but hey, is that combo really game winning? / is the combo too hard to pull off? So
Yeah. Yeah, if you're relying on getting a Kel'Thuzad out there and actually reviving a few creatures, like that's not going to happen enough times. That's to actually, Anyway.
Well, and I mean, if you have too many combos in the same deck, like you have to also kind of think about like what happens if I pull like one piece from this combo and one piece from this combo and one piece from this combo, because drawing is a problem in a lot of combo decks. So if you've got like one piece from each, like are you completely screwed? Like are you not able to win then? So you have to kind of think of having deck synergy in general, and even though each individual idea might be really cool, if you just get little bits and pieces, like are you in a really bad spot? And that's what you want to avoid. Like think of your worst case draw and then are you still able to at least maybe control until later on?
Yeah. Well, let's, for nothing else, for the sake of time, let us know how this worked out for you, Frank on the Rocks, by the way.
Yes, please.
I implore you, keep those Injured Blade Masters. Do it. Let's move on to Matt, who sent in his Raptor Rogue. And take a look at this. Got what I think is definitely a more sane curve than
definitely.
the last deck we looked at.
This is closer to what a lot of people are using as Raptor Rogue. So this is Matt's kind of version that he landed on himself. He's pretty close to what a lot of people are already doing, which means that you've got a pretty good understanding of what it is that you're trying to do. The Raptor Rogue is kind of like a value deck. It just tries to get the Raptor out with a really good value death rattle, and then win the game that way. So it's closer to like something like mid-range Paladin than it is to Oil Rogue with all the burst and stuff, right? It's basically just here's a board that's hard to kill, and eventually I'm going to pick away at your life total. The problem it runs into sometimes is that if you play against like a heavy control deck, a lot of times they can just kind of deal with all your stuff, and then eventually you just run out of damage, and you just have no way to ever kill them. And you can't just hit him in the face a bunch of times with a dagger. It's just not going to ever get there. So that's the problem I've run into. So one thing that I've kind of tended to go for is try to still put some sort of burst in there. So it's like you have this like kind of value minion base, and then you have a way to actually kill the opponent if you get them to 15 or less, right? If you can get a couple creatures to stay on board, then you can actually find a way to get through. And he doesn't really have that in this deck, so I think that might be the weakness here. He's also
do you just
running.
Immediately want to go for oil or?
I mean, so yeah, like I would prefer to see. Like I like that he's got the egg, because that is kind of the dream, right? Is to Raptor an egg, but then you also still need activators for the egg, so it kind of backs you into a corner where you're like filling your deck up with stuff to make this egg work in case you don't get the Raptor. But I still really like it when you run this deck and then you also have the oil, the blade, like one blade flurry, and maybe a couple preps. I also don't think this card's going to draw enough. This deck's going to draw enough. This particular version. He's only got Azure Drakes
and Blood Mage.
And Blood Mage, yeah. So that's 3 times in the game you're going to ever draw another card than the one you draw per turn.
If they kill or don't silence your Thanos.
Yeah, and so that can be a little bit rough. So another thing you might want to think about is if you put in the preps, you put in sprints. And then also a cool thing that I found in this deck is Bran. Bran's amazing in the Raptor Rogue because you could double that double the death rattle because you double the battle cry of the Raptor. So those are the things I would look at. It's tough to figure out what you take out, but I think you can afford to lose like the big game hunter. You could probably go down to one fan. Maybe even like one loot hoarder is okay too. It just seems like right now it's like he's got a lot of 2-0, so I bet the deck is consistent. But I think at a certain point, this deck is going to tend to like run out of steam. Just have no cards in hand. Everything's been dealt with, and they're drawing one card at a time, and they're trying to top deck something awesome. And most of the time, then they top deck like Haunted Creeper, and you're like, damn. Okay, well, how do I win from here?
I didn't even notice he has. He does have Loot Hoarder in here as well, so that's actually five.
Oh yeah, that's right, Loot Hoarder. And then I guess you can Raptor a Loot Hoarder and get an extra draw there. That can happen sometimes too. But really, you want to be Raptoring your eggs and your piloted shredders, I think, over anything else. That's what you're going for.
Yeah, how else? Otherwise, how do you win? Sylvanas, yeah.
Sylvanas, yeah. I've seen Sylvanas a couple times. They're just like, damn it.
The way I've been approaching Raptor Rogue, I've been fooling around with this a fair bit, is in many ways it's, especially if you look at a deck list like this, it's very similar to like how a zoo deck would work. So you're trying to get a lot of like value minions, you're trying to control the board and then overwhelm the board and win, right? So I think trying to get some inspiration from what makes a Warlock zoo deck work will help this deck. Like you were saying, obviously running out of steam's a problem. Warlock has a built-in mechanism in their hero power to do that. You don't, so how do you deal with it? Maybe running things like Loot Hoarder is not a bad idea. So that's the way I've been trying to make this deck work is probably front load the mana curve a little more. Really try to get a decisive board advantage and then finagle a win that way. So
I saw Hot Form running this deck, and he was using the prep sprint, I think, just to address that issue, right?
Sure, yeah. Prep sprint is essentially a 4 mana, draw 3 cards or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
And a lot of times it'll just you get to the late game, you're a little out of steam, draw sprint, oh boom, we're refilled, we're ready to go, and we can still contest, So that's to me like one of the ways. You guys got any other ideas? Or Matt over here.
The only thing that I can kind of think of is potentially with so many death rattles that Baron might be a good addition here.
Baron would certainly be fun.
Yeah. Is if you could, throw a Baron in there and then get like double your 4/4s and all that kind of fun stuff. I think it could potentially work. I think really what you're kind of missing, especially like I know with the egg, you've got your activators and Warlock with your power overwhelming, which is just so frustrating. So I mean, you're really missing that here. So I think you have to make a lot of kind of concessions when you're when you're comparing Zoo to here. Like you don't have the card draw that Warlock has built in. You don't have power overwhelming that Warlock has built in. So
I don't really know. Abusive Sergeant and Defender of Argus, and you could run Cold Bloods is another way to activate your eggs.
True.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the direction I think that makes sense to me is push that curve forward with things like Cold Blood or even ways to make your weapon more effective, like you were saying before, like poison your blade and things like that. So.
Oh yeah, Deadly Poison over Oil I think would even be better here because Oil is like more of a finisher, and Deadly Poison will give you more just board control in the early game, keep your minions alive an extra turn.
Yeah, that's something that Warlock wish they would have that you don't have, right? That you can take to your advantage with your 2 weapon. You can really help gain that early board advantage.
Plus 2 Dark Bombs.
He's already running SI7 agent, and that's one of the cheapest damn ways you can activate it outside of backstab.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
You don't want to be backstabbing your own egg though. Like you'd rather, you'd rather be killing something else, or it's like the AOE and yeah. But I think he's very close. It's just a matter of. This is the tough thing with a 30 card deck is what do you trim to get in the things to make your deck a little bit more lean and mean, right? And this deck I've found with Raptor Rogue, it's really hard to fit in all the things you want because as a rogue, you kind of have all these staple cards that are so important. But now I'm trying to add in a bunch of death rattle cards to make my Raptors better, and I just run out of space.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
You have to kind of come at it with a different mindset. You can't think of it like an oil rogue.
Yeah. But you're never gonna lose, backstab, eviscerate, SI7, all that kind of stuff. So you really have to like pick and choose which things do I still keep, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? People in chat said Dark Iron Skulker. That might be pretty good here too, because without Blade Flurry and stuff.
That's totally wrecked my paladin before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just completely. Yeah.
We were on stream last week, Diddles, when we were playing the Explorer deck. Dora,
that's right. Yeah,
like to call
it happened, and you were like, "What?"
Yeah, Dark Iron Skulker comes out. I'm like, "What am I even seeing? Oh, wow, that really screws me." Yeah.
It's really good in certain situations. It's really bad when everything's damaged, though.
Yes, it is.
Man.
Yes. Although, as a rogue, why are you leaving damaged things up? You should kill that thing outright or leave it alone. Because you also got backstab, which is useless unless they're already unless they're at full health. It sucks too.
It's like, I want a sap in here, but where do I fit it? I don't know where I fit it. Like, it's such a good tempo play, and I can't find. I would have struggled to find a place to put it.
Stop thinking about it like normal rogue. Stop it.
I know, but there's certain things that you still have to have your good rogue things,
Yeah.
It's like whenever I build a hunter that doesn't have beast, I'm like, damn, now I don't have kill command? What? And I'm just like, that makes no sense to me.
You just throw the whole deck out. Like,
I'm like, screw it.
No kill
put
command.
Beast back in.
Delete.
Well, then, think of it like Arena, man. Like, well, crap, I never got a kill command. Well, how do I make this work? Mm-hmm. But you have access to literally any other card. Well, that is hunter or neutral. Anyway.
This is awesome though. Now I want to go back and mess around with my Raptor Rogue.
I know.
I'm gonna spend all night, messing around with my decks.
Sorry, Frank on the rocks. You are not a special
exciting.
snowflake. Now Young wants to try Matt's Raptor Rogue. So, let's finish up. Let's see if we can go 3 for 3 by intriguing Mr. Young over here.
I think we
this
will.
one's terrible.
I think we will.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, let's talk about Ryan's Wailing Statues.
Oh yeah, actually this one's really interesting.
I love the idea behind this because it incorporates a card I hate more than anything, which is the Eerie Statues. These were the source of a lot of rage on my part when I was trying to beat Rafam. I don't know who built that deck, but they should be fired.
And they're doing their job. They're very successful at it.
Oh, lovely.
So this deck, when I look at it, is one of the only times I look at a deck and I go, "You're not doing your theme enough." Like, I think I want. It's Matt, right? Yeah, I want Ryan. Right, I want Ryan to stop pussyfooting around and just go for it. Like, no savage combatant. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of mounted raptor. Like, you don't want to silence that. That's a good thing, right? So, and then only one ancient watcher? This is madness. Like, we gotta do. I want this deck to kind of just go for it full bore, because I think this is really what this deck does essentially is plays these cards that have more stats than they're supposed to because of some drawback, right? And so it's kind of like you're cheating mana the entire game if you can actually get to your Wailing Soul, right? So
yeah, and I'm looking at it, and the only way he has of silencing his minions at the moment is Wailing Soul. So I'm like,
well, he's got Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
sorry,
Keeper right there too. Yeah.
Yep, my bad.
But that's 4 silences. Total,
yeah,
right.
I still wouldn't mind seeing an owl, because especially if you're going to go down the route that Dills is trying to send you down, which is put everything that would be terrible unless you can silence it. Because you're going to need more than 4 silences.
Yeah. So I think I would dump Raven Idol. Even though I love that card, I just think it doesn't do what you're looking for here. Darnassus Aspirant is amazing. Silence that. You don't get the drawback. It's just like you're currently you played a Wild Growth and a 2/3. Dump Mounted Raptor, I would say. Dump Savage Combatant. You basically just have Swipe and Wrath. That's your removal, because your creatures are going to be stronger than your opponent's creatures on the curve on the turn that you play them, right? I think you don't need a Ooze. I think you want to double up on your Watcher. And I actually don't think you want Deathlord. I think I'd rather have what's the Ogre? Ogre Brute. Some people were saying Dancing Swords, but I actually think Ogre Brute's better because it still could hit the right thing, right? So even if you can't
it's less of a
silence
risk than Dancing Swords.
Yeah. So I would just put in an Ogre Brute. I do love having Defender of Argus. However, I think I would also throw in whatchamacallit?
Sun Fury Protector?
Sun Fury Protector. Thank you. So that's another way that you can like coin Watcher, Sun Fury Protector, right? And then have a really, really strong start against any aggro deck. And then, yeah, I love the Eerie statue. I think Dr. Boom is fine. You probably just keep Dr. Boom because it's Dr. Boom. Ragnaros, I think, is the perfect other legendary because if you silence Ragnaros, it can attack itself. So you hit exactly what you want. So I think most of it's here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's on the right track here.
Yeah. It's just like stuff like, Deathlord, I don't know. Like, because Deathlord is great for anti-aggro, but in a Druid deck, unless you're running like Mulch or something, it could really backfire. Like, you don't have a lot of awesome removal in Druid, and you see like Deathlords in like Priest and stuff like that, where if it pulls something crazy, you can Shadow or Death it and deal with it, right? So unless you actually get like a lot of small creatures to die from Deathlord, that can really backfire for you. So I think, dump that. And I was actually thinking for the other legendary that you might want to put in is the Beast. The 9/7 for 6 that gives the 3/3, and then you can just silence that off and get yourself 6 mana 9/6.
Yeah, although
9/7, 9/7, 9/7.
You got to think about too, though. What cards are you playing that your opponent's probably not going to go out of their way to remove on the turn after you play it? Because otherwise, you have to play the Beast and you have to play a Silence at the same turn,
like the same time.
Because if they have removal, they're removing the Beast, and then you're staring down a Finkel Horn.
True.
Which is the silliest thing that's left my mouth all week.
Like the idea here, I think, is you play these kind of minions that the opponent doesn't really deal with, and then suddenly you silence them all. It's like, oh my god, like what? And then
Wailing Soul
like
comes down, and your day is ruined.
yeah. So things like Eerie Statue and Watcher, those are so perfect for this type of deck because, like, the opponent might look at that and go like, okay, well it can't attack, so whatever, I don't care about that, and then suddenly Wailing Soul. And you crush them. You crush their dreams. But yeah, no, I think Ryan's real close here. I just think push it all the way.
I love the theme of this deck so much.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do something like this. I just haven't had the chance to really mess with it yet. I don't know, Youngwoo, have you had any thoughts to get a Wailing Soul deck going?
I tried a version of this with Priest a while back using Silence to card and Ancient Watcher and trying to get like a turn 2/4/5 and do cool things with that. But this is cool. I think because Silence is good in general. I think especially with things like Secret Paladins out there, and their 6/6 gets super huge because of Avenge or whatever. Being able to just get that under control a little bit more can help.
There's a lot of silenceable minions in the game right now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you still have Sun Fury Protectors and Defenders of Arguses if you expend a couple of your own silences to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's still ways
I think if you have more silences, it's never going to be a bad thing. And I think with Ancient Allure, you kind of have enough card draw. Like with that, I don't know. Everything's going to be played on curve, I think, with this deck. So you don't need to draw multiple cards a turn, right? Mm-hmm. Like you just kind of want to go like Zombie Chow into Watcher, into Ogre Brute, into Wailing Soul, and then it's like boom, we win, So.
Yeah, no, I like where this is going. Definitely write back and let us know, Ryan, or tweet at TAC Podcast with your revised deck list. I'd love to see what these will look like after everything we talked about here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think things like Savage Combatant are fine. I just think you don't want to silence it. Like you got some creatures in here that are going to screw up your Wailing Soul turn. And you don't want to not play it because you've got like a Raptor on board, so. Yeah. But this is fantastic. I'm definitely going to make a Wailing Soul deck.
This is the one I'm probably the most excited to try.
Yeah.
Which is funny because immediately when I saw Frank on the Rocks Heavy Shaman, I'm like, oh, yes, I just want all the big things with, they come back after they die. Bring it. But this is just so ridiculous. I want to try this Wailing Statues deck. I really do. So I'll be playing around with that tonight too, Ryan. Well, before we round the show up with a couple of emails, let's thank Squarespace.com for sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You can use the code TAC at checkout and get 10% off your first order. And we would appreciate if you did that. You'd support the show, and you'd have a really nice looking website at the end of it. Yeah, actually, as far as I know, it's easier than discerning what Hearthstone cards do. Which, considering the consistency is not the most important thing. Yeah.
Wow, this website must be awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so beginner friendly. Yet somehow consistent too. I don't know how they do it. It's
You
crazy.
sit there and
Yeah. It just wills itself into
your
existence.
dream just materializes before your eyes.
Yep. And it actually will fix your Wailing Statues deck for you. It's crazy. You just plug it right in, and then out comes the perfect deck. It's insane. It's insane.
Everything
These
Bill
things
says
or
may not
be
or
true.
may not actually happen. Disclaimer. So, alrighty, well, let's round the show up with some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
Alrighty, you can send your email to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Kind Fish, spelt creatively. Kind Fish says, "Hey peeps, I've been debating using a deck tracker. During the 6 months I've been playing, I reached rank 9 once and flirting with it again this season. When researching deck trackers, it seems it's always some third-party link, and I don't feel like downloading malware. Also, I was curious about your thoughts on trackers. Love the podcast and keep up the good work." I believe all of us, well, I can't safely say that. I believe all three of us who usually host The Angry Chicken use deck trackers. I can't speak for Young Woo. And I'm not sure Young Woo wants to speak
Yeah,
on
I
the
don't know if
subject.
he can actually comment on this or not,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I think everybody needs to be careful with downloading these type of software. Obviously, we don't officially condone use of these third-party software. We've actually seen cases where we get customer support calls where this type of third-party software interacts badly with the game, and in some cases we've seen situations where like adversely affected their accounts, and then we end up having to try to help them out. And in certain cases, it's been pretty systematic, so it's been a big concern for us. So, So
Yeah.
do what you will with that information.
Yeah, so be aware. Yeah, I do use the Hearthstone deck tracker, which hasn't caused me any issues. So I mean, I can't speak as to whether it will for you or not, but it hasn't caused me any problems, and it works fairly well. It's still you get it off of GitHub, which is like just a developer's site, so you just kind of download it directly from the guy who wrote the code, and it may look like malware to people, but it's not. It's like just a place where people store their code.
Right.
yeah, and I think the three of us use that same one, just straight up.
Yeah, it's
tracker.
Yeah, now
kind
that Young Woo has warned you of all
Yeah.
of the terrible things, all three of us use
All three of
Hearthstone
us
Deck
use it.
Tracker. You can get it on GitHub. It is a wonderful program.
Yeah, and it's like I can look at my whole stats for the month, and I can see how I've been doing and stuff like that. And also, of course, tracking your deck as you're playing, where you can understand what your percentage of drawing a card you may need is, which may change the way you play the next turn and things like that. It's all, and I think Brode has said in the past, like it can be done with pen and paper, then it's not technically like something you shouldn't be able to do. So as far as the official stance, I can't speak to that, but it has been addressed at certain times. But you could just use pen and paper and do the exact same thing it does.
Right. And that's for me. That's what it boils down to. I'm lazy, so I use a deck tracker. If you are super afraid of malware or don't have the best scanning software to make sure that viruses aren't on files that you downloaded, maybe use pen and paper. But I dig it. As far as our thoughts on it, I don't think it's cheating because, again, you could do this if you were just diligent with a pad and paper, and that's what I used to do before I came across said illicit programs.
Third party.
Yeah.
Well, I used to use just like a spreadsheet and keep track of
I
everything.
remember
and
the Dill spreadsheet.
Yeah, it was very diligent and took a lot of time, and it wasn't great. I was much happier when a program did it for me.
I remember in the early days of this show, we had listeners sending in their customized Excel spreadsheets that had formulas built in, and we were sharing them, and they were showing up on the Hearthstone subreddit. And it was great. It was a wonderful early pilgrim days of Hearthstone. But now there's these much more user-friendly applications. We clearly on this show, I don't think it's any surprise that we're not against them. We've highlighted the arena building tools. We've talked about Hearthstone Deck Tracker in the past. So that's our stance. We think they're cool, and we don't think you have to use them. But yeah, just be
Oh my
careful.
God! I just pulled up my spreadsheet. So this is from 2013.
Yes.
And in arena, I had a 63% win rate.
Nice.
I won more gold than I spent. Look at this. This is great. Oh my god. I put so much work into this. But now I haven't. Oh my god. I even have like a little note section. So like,
Yep.
here's a run where I went 7-3, and it was like 4 weapons, 2 battle rage, 2 ooze, 4 taunt, decent early control. Like, I was ever gonna look back at that and be like, oh yeah, that's why that did okay. Like that's what I thought was important at the time. You know? This is amazing.
Oh, man.
Yep. It was all because of the taunt. It was because of that Goldshire Footman, man.
I have to say though,
Yep.
I'm shocked that you guys didn't comment on, you guys didn't comment on the very clever way to refer to you guys in the beginning. It's "Hey peeps."
Oh,
Ah, yes.
I didn't even notice. I've gone numb to it at this point. I've heard,
We've heard so many of them.
I've heard so many, and every now and then everyone gives up. Like they're just like, "Hey
Like the
guys."
next-
I haven't heard that one
sorry.
before, and I think I've listened to almost every episode.
I'm not
so.
sure I've heard peeps before. Maybe, I don't know. You know what it was? They probably got some like the peeps Christmas trees in their stocking, and that made them think it. They're like, "Oh, peeps."
Inspired them.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know that those were a thing. The only peeps I know of are like the little Easter ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they
Those
make them
Christmas
for
trees?
literally every holiday now. So yeah,
Oh.
there's pumpkins for Halloween. Cats.
It's never the wrong time of year for a weird sugary marshmallow thing.
I ate so many of those in high school that I'm done with them. Like I've
actually never put one in my mouth ever.
Neither
Like,
have I.
never.
I am peep. I am peep free.
You're peep for
Yep.
okay. All
Not a
right.
peep in my whole body.
Well, then you're.
Never
I mean, I feel like you probably live a slightly sadder existence than I do. But like I said, I
Yeah,
burnt
maybe.
myself out on them. So
Okay.
yeah.
I did eat a whole bunch of those the peanut butter chocolate eggs though. I love those things.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Well, yeah, they're
Reese's.
peanut butter and chocolate. I mean,
Anything,
Like,
anything,
can't go wrong.
anything other than the regular Reese's, because if it's the egg or the tree, there's a lot more peanut butter in them than a regular Reese's cup. So they're.
Yeah, why don't they just
automatically
make those year round so we get the right ratio? You know,
I know.
the hell is wrong with
You have to
them?
buy that stupid big cup.
wanna
And
write
there's
an
only
angry
one of them,
email.
and then you're
That's it.
disappointed. Young, what is Blizzard's official stance on peeps?
we're not supposed to ask questions, Garrett. We just have to
Questions,
wonder
Garrett.
out loud.
This turned into an interview after.
Ah, damn.
I wonder what Blizzard's stance on peeps are.
Oh, that's right. That's the way around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just wonder aloud. And
Yeah.
hope that it-
Dills, you want to take the next email?
Yeah, this is from Hyler92 says, "Hello, TAC crew. Do you think we'll see the artifact weapons coming in WoW Legion in Hearthstone? I would like to see caster classes get weapons." Well, I don't think so, but it is an interesting idea, and I think we've talked about this on the show that
Long time ago.
caster weapons would be kind of fun if it gave you some crazy spell benefit for mages, but then it got used up over time. That would be interesting.
That would be
Some
super
sort of
cool.
staff, yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's definitely not a new idea, but the artifact weapons are an interesting spin on that.
well, and some of the artifact weapons are already actually in Hearthstone because Doomhammer is one of them. Ashbringer is another one.
Ashbringer, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I
So
guess
some
yeah,
of- Be there, yeah.
yeah.
So
If you added the other ones, what would you have to do? Would
Well-
you have to change Ashbringer? And
Well,
what
we'd
it
have to
does?
add
Make it-
2 more classes first to get them all in there.
well, yeah,
yeah.
technically.
Well, 3 more classes.
More-
Three
Demon
more.
Hunter.
I'm sorry, Demon Hunter. You're right.
Three
Yeah.
more classes would fit perfectly in an overlay to have
know.
12 classes.
What? Didn't even think of that. Yeah.
We are
Well, yeah,
very aware that we are not going to be getting any inside information
I'm
on
not even
this.
looking for facial expressions right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the answer to this question is yes. There's already 2 in the game.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Moving on.
There it is.
Do you think
Yeah.
we'll see them? Yes.
Hearthstone was
Right
ahead of
now.
the game. Apparently.
Go kill Tyrion.
I was just trying to catch up to Hearthstone at this point.
Go put one in. Go put one in your shaman deck. You don't even need to. It's not even. You don't need to kill another hero to have it pop out. You just equip
You don't
it.
have to go
I'll
to
have
the
2 of
class
them.
hall. Nothing. Yeah.
You can have you put 2 of them. You can't dual wield them because we don't have Titan grip in warriors who blingtron double Doomhammer somehow. I don't know, but
It'd be so fun.
I want Titan Grip Warrior. If I can talk out loud while a Hearthstone employee sits in the proximity
No,
of
you
me.
said something else that's interesting. What if you could like dual wield weapons?
Yeah,
That's
dual
what I mean.
Yeah.
Titan,
Yeah.
I want Titan Grip.
Oh, Titan
remember
grip,
that was
okay,
one of the
yeah,
first
Well, I guess
Yeah.
Titan
Yeah.
Grip was
Yeah.
two-handers, and we don't really
Yeah.
designate a weapon as two-handed in Hearthstone. So I
Yeah.
guess it just would be dual wielding.
Yeah.
My
just
bad.
dual-
Gorehowl is a two-handed weapon, pretty much for
Yeah.
sure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
But
Ash-
so yeah,
Ashbringer's
remember we talked about this.
two-handed.
The idea was that you'd lose your hero power and just put a weapon in that slot, and then you just have two things you can attack.
It could be
But
so
you wouldn't
damn
have hero
cool.
power.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, you just get to swing twice.
Yeah.
And your first swing is your whatever weapon is equipped on the left, and your second swing is whatever weapon is equipped on the right.
Basically get Wind Fury, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but you can mix and match weapons. How insane would that be?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
like-
Deathlight
well,
twice in my patron deck, and then I like set up just a huge board of patrons. It's so good.
Basically a Mega Wind Fury if you have two Doomhammers, you know?
Yeah.
Oh God.
The Wind Fury is already in the game. Oh my god, guys.
Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
We'll try it out in a Tavern Brawl, you know, see how crazy it goes.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So to answer your question, Hyler, in a less trolly way, I mean, yes, some of them are already in, but I don't see how you'd have to get real crazy with Hearthstone to have a system where it would be even remotely as specialized the legendaries are going to become Legion. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Those
really
have their own talent trees and stuff.
exactly. So like, what would we spec them out of the game, and then I go in and
you
then
get your weapon,
and then my
you choose
buddy's
your spec.
Ashbringer has like behaves differently than my Ashbringer. Like that would be insane.
Well, the answer is obvious. You have another deck for your weapon.
Oh,
Oh, well, there you go.
And then, you know, the weapon has its own
you draw
deck.
your weapon card. Then you draw- yeah.
So you basically
Way
have,
down the rabbit
Two
hole on
decks,
this one.
your
Yeah.
weapon.
no. So you get into a game and it's like Tyrion versus Doomhammer.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. There it is.
All done.
That's ridiculous. All right, Jocelyn, take us home. Final email.
Sure. This one comes to us from Mika. It says, hello, rambunctious roosters. Quick question. Do you find the time of day matters when attempting to rank in ladder? I wake up for 7 a.m. weekly calls for work, and obviously I'm not paying a ton of attention because I play Hearthstone during them. During the early morning hours, I'm kicking ass and taking names with meta-approved decks, of course. I usually climb at least a few ranks, no problem, but considering I'm emailing at 2 a.m., occasionally I get restless and go ladder while I wait out my insomnia. And holy hell, I'm still not sure how I lost. Oh, sorry, whoops, I missed a line. Does it seem like Night Ladder is where rank 5 dreams go to die? I dropped 3 ranks just now in games I'm not sure how I lost. Has any...
You're doing great. You're doing
Has
great.
anyone else had this experience? Has anyone had the opposite experience? What gives? I'm curious to find out and hypothesize. Keep up the amazing show. I have the exact same experience. When I get up and play in the morning with my coffee, like, I win way more often than I lose. And when I play at night, oh man. And I don't know if it's like my mindset, like I'm awake and focused in the morning, and at night I'm just kind of like, you know, ready to go to bed and probably should go to bed at that point. Or if it's like an actual change in the people that you're facing. Do you guys have any thoughts on laddering different times a day?
I have the
think it's the type of
exact
person.
same experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hearthstone's easy in the morning.
Yes. Yes. Young, if
I
you
think
ever
it's
make
the
a box
kids.
product, that should be on the back of the box.
I think at night you're getting like the people who just sit there and play Hearthstone all night, and they're probably pretty good. You know, like
It also
gamers
probably
tend to have like a night owl type of lifestyle. At least
true.
like more serious gamers, they tend to stay up all night playing their games.
Mhm.
And I think in the morning you're definitely getting the people who like have day jobs and stuff, and like go to them, and they're just trying to get some time in. You know, so
That could be true. Yeah, people, you know, playing some fun decks on lunch hour or something like that, and you can just farm them.
yeah, farm those noobs. Yeah.
I think it might have something to do with the server you're on, the time zone you're in. Because I know on East Coast, when I'm playing at night, it's like, oh man, this is prime getting off work time for all the West Coasters. All the diehards are in here. So I definitely
Trying to
noticed.
play it- Yeah, times that aren't good for West Coast.
Yeah, likewise.
That's because West Coast, best coast. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you get to say that for what? Like 3 more days?
I'm still closer to the west than the east in Texas.
No,
I can't
No.
talk about a coast at all once I get there. Though.
No, you
There's
can't.
no. I am no coast when I get to Texas.
Middle, bottom,
Yeah.
Fat bottom? I don't know.
There's no like for me to get to water, like actually like sea water is gonna take like a day drive. Like, that's what's gonna be. There are rivers and lakes and creeks. Texas has a lot of creeks.
Cricks?
But yeah, creeks.
Okay.
That's the creek in Texas.
I feel like I'm about to learn so much about America as soon as you move to Texas. I'm just gonna, like my eyes are going to be opened.
Yeah, I mean, you're moving to Dallas, right?
No, Austin.
Austin. Okay, sorry, you're moving to.
Austin's not really Texas.
Austin's not really Texas.
Austin is like San Francisco in the middle of Texas
like,
somehow. Like
It's
It's
like
like Oakland or something.
Yeah, it's like San Fran was relocated to a place with a lot of barbecue.
Well, the weird thing is that like the Texas governor lives in Austin because it's the capital, and it's like, and so they're always like super conservative, and then Austin is like, like the keep Austin weird thing. So, but that's where they live. That's where George Bush lived. You know,
That's where the government is. Yeah,
it's pretty funny. It's a weird dichotomy going on there.
It's
But yeah, I'll probably start having a Texas accent pretty soon. Like,
oh God, you will be fired. You will no longer be allowed.
You need to embrace this.
it's just it's always been kind of dormant in me, and then the longer time I spend there,
All right, I have tried very hard to keep my Southern Florida accent in check. So if you don't have to keep it in check anymore, I'm letting go, and the trailer park is coming home to roost.
The accent everyone makes fun of anymore. This is amazing.
Yeah. Well, until you say about or sorry.
Oh.
You know, every time those...
She can't. Just try to say sorry.
Yeah.
She can't do it.
Well, you can
It'll
just start
always
having
be
a
silly.
subtitle for everybody, and it'll work out. Like, what do you say? Oh, okay.
YouTube captions.
Yep.
Pretty soon I'll be fixing to do things and all that kind of stuff. So you'll...
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, wonderful. Well, then I think that brings us to the end of the show. Yang, you're our guest, so where can folks find you when you're not trying really hard not to break NDAs?
Well, one thing I want to point out was this is your last episode of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have one more coming? this
We
week?
are gonna again. This has been the worst
The
month
Thursday
for Brawl
one lands on
episodes.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
Right? So-
we're trying, guys. We promise we're not actively avoiding the Brawl episodes, but every damn Thursday in the last half of this month has been a big celebration. So we're going to try and do a Brawl episode, but we're not sure we can actually make it happen.
Brawl, then it may not.
Yeah, if
happen.
it's a repeat Brawl.
Well, the whole team's on vacation, so
Ah.
maybe we might have a repeat brawl. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the last season of the year for you guys. It's,
Yeah.
That's really exciting. I mean, it's easy to forget. You know, Hearthstone, working on Hearthstone, playing on Hearthstone has been such a big part of my life that, like, you know, I can't remember when I didn't have Hearthstone in my life. But if you think about it, Hearthstone hasn't been around that long. Like, if you think about, 2015 and you know, same time last year, we just came out with Goblins versus Gnomes, but
Wow.
Hearthstone was not on mobile until April this year.
Yeah.
There was no such
Crazy.
thing as Tavern Brawl until June this year, and so all these things that we kind of just talk about, like we've been doing it forever. It's been around like 6 months, 8 months, so.
Man.
It's been crazy, and then you guys have done like how many episodes this year? That's really crazy
lot.
to do.
Ish.
lot.
Yeah.
It used to be easy. It's been like, how many
Yeah.
weeks has it been? There's been 52, but now we do the call-in episodes and the Brawl episodes.
Yeah, so 52 plus 12 plus Brawl since June, Brawl episodes since probably August.
Plus,
so,
there was a lot of moving and getting
24.
married, so some didn't happen. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been an insane year. A lot of things have changed in our lives and in Hearthstone, and it ain't over yet. Dills,
What?
Dills
They're not
is
shutting
moving.
down Hearthstone?
No, I was more alluding to the fact that Dills is moving.
Oh yeah, no, so I'm probably not going to be here for the next episode because I like the way it works out when you ship your stuff is you have to load this box and then unload that box on the other end and
Oh, you're doing
schedule the whole
the pod
thing.
thing?
And
Yeah.
what's that?
You're doing the pod thing.
Yeah, I'm doing the pod thing
Ah,
because
cool.
otherwise I get a truck and drive it myself. It's actually like the same price. It's stupid. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do the pod. And so yeah, I have to load it on Monday and then unload it the very next Monday. So I may be gone for 2 episodes, you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks, but
Yeah. We'll make it
once
work.
I'm
happens.
there, that's it.
It
We're
happens.
It's all. Then we settle in and we're good.
Yeah,
And-
we're gonna be
and
good
We live
for
in Texas. Yeah.
Almost all of 2016, probably, knock on wood.
And it's just the slow march.
Sorry,
to death.
guys, I may be house shopping.
I mean, I mean that it's great, and we love it. It's fantastic.
Well, awesome. As always, thanks again to our patrons at patreon.com/TAC. If you enjoy the show, if you like what we're doing, you want to give something back, head on over there and check it out. We also really appreciate iTunes reviews. So if you're listening on iTunes and you haven't left us a review, go and do so. We'd like to thank Finny Till Death, Gamer, spelt very creatively, Always Kill the Slug, who said, "Long live the milkshake deck!"
Yes.
Eagle 41 and a bunch of other numbers. Red 14 Red. Thank you guys for your 5-star reviews. We very much appreciate them. As always, check out The Angry Chicken on amove.tv. We're also at youtube.com/amovetv. Thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H, LVE, and Barry Scott L. Get our t-shirt on slashshow.com. Get our mugs and glasses over at bit.ly/amove store. And go ahead and follow us. We're on Twitter at TAC Podcast. We're on Facebook /AMoveTV, and we're over at tacpodcast.reddit.com. We will be back for sure next Monday, at least 2 of us, and maybe a guest. We'll see who we can wrangle at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/AMoveTV and alphageekradio.com. Finally, check out BrianGriffithMusic.com for the musician who made our intro music, and I'm pretty sure Young Woo just took, like, I guess it's not a selfie. I guess that we would just call that a photo of my monitor recording this show. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just like so cool to see how everything's done. It's like a little flight control system he's got here with all these crazy dials and
It's
sounds
really
and
intense.
files and chat.
Yeah, I mean, I can make it sound like that Ben Brode is here at any moment. It's at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very complicated to make that happen.
I can make Dills and Jocelyn say nope in unison.
Nope. That's right.
Yep, it's great. I wield just such massive power.
It's almost like you're dual wielding.
Almost like
Not Titan script though.
not Titan script, just dual.
No, because I stream once in a while, and my setup is like super simple. Like I don't have all these multi-mixer 8 sitting here with all these wires and like 2 microphones, and you know,
Streaming can be very simple, or you can make it incredibly complicated. But you give yourself lots of options when you go the complicated route.
Yep. This is all to make my life significantly easier on the back end of this. However, getting to this point was 5 years in the making of understanding how to get all this to work.
Yeah.
So, Dills, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills. Also check out my stream, twitch.tv/WillieDills_SF. We completed the 12 Dills of Christmas. It was really, really fun, but damn, that was tiring. I try to stream every day, come up with like a new thing for each day and all that. So I'm definitely going to keep that going, though. It was so much fun, and everybody seemed to be having a great time in chat. So next year we'll make it happen again. I'll try to like continually come up with fun little events to do and stuff. We're going to have a new goal here that hopefully we can reach before I leave, which is to get my mom to stream with me. So check me out the rest of this week. Yeah. Before I end up taking like a full week off because I'll be moving. So this next week here will be like my last like week with my computer and everything. And then the week after it's going to be rough, man. I got to pack the computer up. I got to and then I'm going to have 3 days of before I actually start the drive. So living without it, I'm just going to be playing a ton of iPad Hearthstone, I guess.
I play a lot of games on my phone and watch Indiana Jones over and over on DVD. That's what I do when all my stuff is packed.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what I'll be doing. You can also check out the Instance and Stormcast as well for my other podcasts.
Cool. Jocelyn, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. Also, make sure that you check out the Gamers In this week. We are doing our Game of the Year edition of the show. That's Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. So one more week of 9 p.m. Eastern. And then next week, we are actually celebrating our 200th episode, and that is at 7 p.m. And both of those are on twitch.tv/AMoveTV.
Wow, congratulations.
Most impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm pretty proud of it, so.
Awesome. Well, everyone go check that out. Follow me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'm at nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. I'm on Into the Nexus Talking Heroes, but the thing you should really go check out is the one-off spoiler show I did for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Look up Embrace the Spoilers. It is on iTunes right now, or you can find it on amove.tv, where I, Kyle Ferguson, and my buddy Ben Zweifel spoiled the living hell out of Star Wars The Force Awakens. So that's your spoiler warning. If you download this and put it on and you're offended by spoilers, I warned you.
Like
It's literally
times.
called Embrace the Spoilers. So go find that. Go check it out. Give it a listen. I love Star Wars. Love it so much. So that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Check out squarespace.com one more time, everyone. Use the code TAC to get 10% off your first order. And until the next time we meet, which may be Thursday, but it's New Year's, so it might be next Monday. Job's done.
Job's
Job's
done.
done.
Wait, no, Woo, you go. You go now.
Job's done.
Yes.
I was so timid too. I'm like, job's done.
It's like a well-oiled machine over here. That's the way. Yeah.
Shall we, since it's already so awkward, shall we just try that one more time?
How's it going?
All right,
Okay.
so me, Youngwoo, Dills, Jocelyn.
Okay.
Job's
All right, I'm
done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes.
Sweet.
Nailed it.
And
Totally.
that's how you do an angry chicken.